mandate is so huge. I mean, if you talk about IT, looking at the nature of information technology, which is very, very pervasive and cutting across all sectors, you understand how gigantic our mandate is. But in carrying out our mandate, we believe in engaging stakeholders because we believe we can't drive it alone. So we do a lot of collaboration. We do a lot of partnership, both with the academia, private sectors, and so on and so forth. And most importantly, we clear projects for MDAs, that's ministries, departments, and agencies, or if I can call it federal public institutions. This is very, very important because when you're talking about e-government, we talk about interoperability. So in clearing some of those projects, we kind of harmonize and sanitize the IT ecosystem to drive e-governance at the end of the day. Then we save money for the government. Then we look at technology that is in sync with the latest trend, and of course, also look at the what we call the level of local content, basically, which is in line with this present administration's policy, Executive Orders 3 and 5, where we need to promote made in Nigerian goods as we consume what we produce and also produce what we consume. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
We'll stop at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agu, for that broad introduction into what you do at NIDA. But I'd like us to focus on the Unity Board. What is the Unity Board?
First of all, it's a hardware platform. I must mention that. It can be likened to the likes of Arduino. Arduino is one of the largest open source hardware platform in the whole world. It can be likened to single board computers like a Raspberry Pi, Banana Pro, Orange Pi, and so on and so forth. Okay. Well, let me give a brief history of the Unity Board. Now, if you look at NIDA as a government agency, we also carry out what they call research. And carrying out research, we engage, as I mentioned, stakeholders, partners, and what have you. So during the tenure of Dr. Isali Ibrahim Pantami, who is the current Honorable Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, during the tenure, we came up with this idea of how do we create this very education technology platform that we take into our uniqueness and peculiarities, challenges as Nigeria into consideration, and at the same time promoting local content for sustainability. Most of the time, we import most of these technology that is importing what they call the Western world technologies to the third world reality. So most of them, they fail. We are not able to sustain them because they don't really fit into this very environment. So Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim championed actually the development of the board. We worked over a period of 2 years with contribution from the current DG, my boss, Kashifu Abdullahi, who was then his technical advisor. And, this development was carried out and then it was manufactured in a hub in Kuje. TD for Pi Hub did the manufacturing. So design was done and then manufacturing was done differently. Now, going deeper, the Unity Board, if you look at nowadays, let me even start with the COVID-19. Let me digress a little bit, okay? We can see that there's a complete disruption when it comes to the traditional learning environment, with over 82% of that completely disrupted this very COVID-19 pandemic, 82.5%, where basically the traditional in-person learning has already changed, and that change will stay for a long time. And it has created a ripple effect, even affecting other sectors. Now, without that technology, we wouldn't have been able to carry out some learning process. Example is this very online seminar we're even having here, or conference. Technology is driving it. So we have education, we have technology. So technology plays an important role in driving the educational processes. So they're actually interwoven. Okay, that's from the perspective NIDA is coming in with the development of this board. How do we create technologies that will help drive education? Why? If you look at information technology, as I've mentioned previously, it's pervasive. IT is an enabler. Okay, it is a means to an end. So what we do in NIDA is to come up with concepts, prototypes, proof of concept, to tell this sector, please, this is what you should be using for your sector that is IT related. It will help you increase efficiency, output, and then carry out a higher level of automation. Absolutely. So that's the whole idea behind the Unity Board. So it's actually a STEAM education kit. STEAM, we have moved now from STEM, that's science, technology, engineering maths to STEAM. The A there is actually arts. That's where you apply. So you're moving from analytical thinking now to creative thinking. If you listen carefully in the past, the Honorable Minister several times mentioned that it's no longer about your certificate. It's about your certificate, if I put it Nigerian way. So what do you know upstairs? What are your skill sets? What is your competence? Absolutely. So one of what we had in mind in creating Unity was that we're creating a platform where people can learn, new skills, by actually doing, because you learn more by doing, And now if you look at the current trend, now I just talk about the fourth industrial revolution, The World Economic Forum predicted that there'll be a massive loss of jobs because most of these technologies most of the skill sets will be obsolete. I'll give a typical example. I don't know how many offices will have entered of late. I'm seeing typewriters. Do you remember seeing a typewriter?
No.
Huh? When last did you watch your films with the photographers, Kodak, and so on and so forth? So technology changes. So if you don't prepare your workforce, your youth, embed those industry sought after skills in them, then actually become a dinosaur. That means that they cannot play in a highly competitive world. So it's on that concept we are coming up with this Unity board where you can teach people artificial intelligence from the first principle, Internet of Things. And when we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about the forces. Your computation by doing, the creativity is what is driving the whole world. From creativity now, you can push it to innovation, commercialization, and what have you. So at an early age, that creativity is inbuilt in kids because they are playing at the same time learning. Just the same thing that Lego does to kids at young age. They push this Lego to them. Most have heard about the Lego Mindstorms and what have you. They start playing with it at an early age, and that develops their creativity. So as they're growing up now, they're not seeing laptop for the first time. They're already into the technological ecosystem, and that actually broadens their mind when they're thinking of applications and creating solutions for various problems. So this in a primary school, who act as well a learning environment, and then most important is that they could feel the physical world because this is actually what we call a physical computing platform where I could program it to sense temperature, to sense humidity, to sense whatever. So the creativity comes on how they can apply it to solve some of the immediate problems in their environment.
It seems like it is more than an educational board. From all that you've said, I thought that initially the thought was, it is an educational kit, but with everything that you've described, it seems like it does more than help in the education. So what are the other sectors that can benefit from this?
Well, you see, education without application, doesn't really make much sense. And that is why we're talking about skills and competence. So when you educate people, they must create that practical platform where they could try to practicalize whatever they're learning theoretically. Now, secondly, this can also be used for what they call field applications. You have taught me embedded programming, you have taught me my assembly language programming, binary or what have you. This creates a platform where you can practicalize some of those theory you have learned as well. Besides that, this can be applied in the industries. For various IoT solutions. This could act as what they call a data acquisition platform, where you can have your machines running. You want to check the temperature of your oil, for what they call predictive maintenance. You want to check the refs or everything. It's an open platform that can be applied in anywhere. It can also be applied in R&D processes. I just mentioned one of the projects NIDA is undertaking now in collaboration with a hub here in Abuja. So it's vast. Areas of application is vast. So just like IT. The way IT is pervasive, this board also can be applied in various areas. And the beauty of it is that it's an open platform that gives the last mile user the ability to create their own product, and they own the product. That's the beauty. So you can use this one to create another product, box it up, put it your name, and it becomes yours, becomes 100% yours, absolutely. You own it 100%. So that's the beauty of this, absolutely. And again, it conforms with the already existing platform like Arduino. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So you have a situation where you have a seamless and painless migration to the board because Arduino has a very, very large community online already. So for those that are already used to programming Arduino, is a painless migration to this very platform.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that it hasn't been widely deployed.
Yeah.
What is it that is preventing the wide deployment of the Unity board?
Well, when you have a technology, it goes through many phases. So we have done what they call the field testing. where you get users' input and what have you. Then secondly, we're also working out modalities with the stakeholders on the best methodology to carry out the adoption of the board. We had a National Council on Communications and Digital Economy in Gombe State, 2019, and that very council carried out a part of the resolution was that this very education technology platform should be deployed as soon as possible to UBEC, that's in collaboration with UBEC, tertiary institutions, NUC, and so on and so forth. And that is what actually brought about the online stakeholders and meetup and hangout, where we discuss the best mode to carry out the adoption of this very board. And during that very conference, we agreed we create what they call a technical working group. So all these people will come out, then we discuss. As I mentioned already, you have education sector with technology sector. Neither can come and dabble into the educational sector, so it has to be a collaborative approach. So that's how we work, collaboratively to get the best model for carrying out the adoption in various educational institutions. Not only institutions anyway, we also believe in what they call the makers community, or what they call the artisans, makers and artisans community. Things like the Computer Village, Abuja here, UTC, in Enugu, we have the Coal Camp. Okay, all these people should be carried along, okay, because they already have the skills. This will help them augment skills. It will help them broaden their creative minds as well by the time they apply it. Not only that, it will create startups. Any problem you're solving is a potential company. So this will catalyze and drive the startup ecosystem as well for Nigeria.
Okay, so by what time should we see massive deployment of the Unity board?
Well, it's an ongoing process already. Right now, we just finished the communique of the stakeholders hangout and meetup. This will be submitted to the various stakeholder for their final input. Then we'll come up with a working document on how best we could deploy it. And another stakeholder I'm looking at is also Digital Africa. It's a very wonderful platform, and I'm happy we're even talking about this here, because Digital Africa also stands for technology infusion and diffusion in Africa as a whole. And I'm quite excited with the topic, artificial intelligence and also IoT. So this very platform also will be a very strategic one in also creating that awareness and carrying out the diffusion of this very board across sectors, both industry, education, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So yeah, stakeholder as well.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So could you please share the platform? You mentioned earlier that the website that people can go to get more information on.
Actually, there's a website created, Unity Board, one word, unityboard.ng is a top level domain. So it's actually under construction still. And that is where we have a lot of information on the board. We're still populating it more and more, trying to get the stakeholders injection. And again, there's some documents on the features of the board, which will be shared. It's a 12-page PDF document. So you could go through it to see the specifications of the board. And then they will have also a competitive matrix, which will have tabled some of these popular boards like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and so on and so forth. We compared it with the Unity board. Then it's for you to judge, which is more powerful and which best suits our own environment here for sustainability.
Oh, thank you. I have here that 6 areas that were listed out that can benefit from the Unity board. It says it can address challenges in government, in healthcare.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us, before we take on the other, there's fleet management and telematics, security, utilities, service providers, e-agric, you'd mentioned earlier. So give us, earlier we discussed healthcare on this platform. I'd like you to share with us how this particular board can help us address challenges in healthcare.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Okay, let me even digress a bit, go to AI, okay? When you talk of artificial intelligence, is the ability of a machine to take certain decisions, reason like a human, where the machines can use some of our cognitive features, maybe your 5 senses and what have you. That is a primary layer, okay, where you can use sensors that could see, like a human eye, sensors that could hear, feel, and so on and so forth. Now, the second layer now is what they call the data analytics, where you acquire all this data, you push it to a central, maybe a backend with your business logic, and then you carry out some decision making using, AI as analytics. So you have layer 1, okay, which is what I call the primary AI, or what we call the embedded AI. The layer 2 now is where we'll have, let me call it the high level now, where tools are used now to create analytics. Okay. Now coming to the healthcare. The traditional healthcare system is changing and will change definitely. Traditional healthcare is that you come to the hospital, a doctor will take your temperature using thermometer. Okay, that's a physical measurement, face-to-face contact with patients. The next time it takes your blood pressure, everything is documented there. But there's a migration now, what we call we must have heard of telemedicine. But to me, telemedicine is a bit of expensive for Africa. So we're talking about mobile health now. We can leverage on the existing terrestrial network and have a device that does the data acquisition remotely. A typical example is your primary healthcare centers. We have 774 local governments. Am I right?
Yes.
Do we have visibility to the grassroots? Do we know how many people have been treated? Can an expert in Abuja, a consultant in a national hospital, carry out diagnosis of a patient there? Okay, just thinking. Okay, that's what this very board can do. This very board is a data acquisition platform. So all it takes me just to plug in my thermometer here. Are you getting me? I can plug in my thermometer here. I can plug in my pressure sensor. Okay. Then the medical personnel will tell you this, what we call oximeter. Oximeter measures what they call your oxygen level in your blood, SpO2 level. That SpO2 level, especially in this era of COVID-19, tells whether you are dying or not dying by assessing the oxygen level of your blood. So I can plug an oximeter to this board, put it on somebody in my village, make sure it is connected to the internet, and a doctor could be in Abuja, since getting the data that is being streamed, can actually carry out analytics and diagnose the patient. Just a few. Secondly, this very device contains what we call inertial measuring unit, accelerometer, and gyroscope. So it could use to monitor the elderly people remotely. Has the person fallen down? Is the person active? Is the person still alive? So this can also be used. Just a few use cases. Okay. Then for the government, this is very, very interesting. One of our greatest challenges, as a country, is how do I put it, in maintenance. Now, if you look at our energy infrastructure, there are many challenges, starting from the generation, transmission, and also the distribution. Some of the challenges are what they call vandalism or some of this electrical equipment. This very device can actually be used as an early warning system, for maybe our transformers that are deployed maybe in remote areas, maybe some of our poles. You can actually monitor when they're about to be moved, and then you can raise an alarm. And then for the fleet management, with the GSM GPRS module here, you can use it to acquire GPS data, your longitude, latitude, your height, your bearing, and whatever. You can actually know who is moving where. If it's your trailer parks, if it's your fuel tankers, you want to monitor. If it's your IDP relief products to avoid diversion, this can also be used. And again, let me go back to health. Another good place for health is what we call maybe smart vaccine. Refrigerators, sometimes this vaccine, they need to maintain a particular temperature for them. This can actually be used to deploy what they call smart mobile refrigerators, where the temperature and the condition of the vaccine can be transmitted to you remotely, even showing your locations and what have you. As I mentioned, areas of applications are very, very vast. It's one board with a sea of possibilities, absolutely. So it depends on your creativity. And it's very simple to use, as a matter of fact. Yes.
That's really very interesting. One area that I'd like us to look at again is the area of security, considering what is going on in the country right now, in certain parts of the country. How can we deploy this Unity board to guarantee security in the areas that are presently undergoing some form of unrest?
Okay. The area of security come in various forms. You can have what they call a physical security. After maybe you're talking about a physical security, for example.
Yeah, physical security.
Okay, for physical security, maybe, for example, I want to protect maybe a place like this that has a perimeter fence. One, I can actually integrate what they call proximity sensors to it. My proximity sensor could be my infrared rays, could be my laser rays, okay? It could be even my ultrasonic transducers, which I can use to monitor movements and what have you. I'll give a typical example. I could plug in a laser transmitter, bidirectional transmitter. Laser is coherent, it points very long. So you can actually tell me who has crossed the line and what have you. And then it can alert somebody that a physical alert. Or even ring your phone or send you an email. They just security. It is mainly limited for what they call the physical security of an area. Maybe camps, like IDP cards, want to protect them about intrusion, or maybe some, compounds and installations that are strategic. So you can actually use it for that. So you can do what we call a digital fencing with it. What I mean, we use our physical fencing, which could be scaled, but with your laser, you can create what they call a digital fencing within minutes. Anybody that breaks the beam can actually ring, send information to you and what have. Just a few of them.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask, what does a finished package look like? How big is it? How mobile is it? Is it something that can easily move around, or is it something that needs to be stationed in a particular location where it does all of these functions?
Well, this is a development board. Okay. I try to break it down as much as I can, because we'll get this question coming up. This is not a finished product. It's not boxed up. It's a development board. It's an open platform, meaning that it gives any individual the possibility to create your final finished product. Example, if you look at Arduino board, like Arduino Uno, Arduino Mega, it's in this form. It's an open platform, but when you create a product, then you can box it up and name it. If I have to box it up, that means it's no longer open platform. It's a dedicated device solving particular problems. I get me? But the way it is, there's an open platform that enables anybody that is taught how to use it to come up with a product or solutions, solving certain problems. So it is in a finished form like this. That's what I'm trying to say, in a finished form. All we need to do is maybe put it in a small box, plastic box, with the resistors, wires for breadboarding and what have you. But as it is right now, it's a finished product. So it's up to the last mile user to create a product and box it and put their name. I'll give a typical example. I may decide to come with a smart irrigation system as we're working on now. I'll plug in my moisture sensor already, okay? And then I have areas I can plug in my 220 volts for the pump. All I do is that I put this box and box it up. I can name it maybe Digital Africa Automatic Irrigation System, or name it. So it becomes your product there. Then you can patent that name and what have you. Absolutely. So it's a finished product as it is right now. It's a development board that enables you to carry out further development of products.
Okay, I was wondering if there were any questions from the audience. No questions? Any? Okay, so tell me about the name Unity Board. Why did you decide to name it the Unity Board? Is it because it's performing all of these functions in one, or what?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. You see, in this part of the world, we are still engaged in what they call technology consumerism. So we still consume technology, we hardly produce. And that doesn't give us what they call digital sovereignty. So we are still under what they call digital colonialism, okay? And the first step of getting out of this bondage is actually identifying some of your peculiarities and getting some of those first layer knowledge on how you can carry out what they call adaptation. What we're engaged in Nigeria right now, most taught was what they call adoption. We adopt this technology, but the next stage is adaptation. How do I take this technology to fit into this terrain to solve my challenges? And that is where the indigenous content comes in. That is where local content comes in. Now, we believe in having an identity, having a digital identity. We believe in, a technology that will be focused primarily in some of our uniqueness to solve our unique problems. So that's why we came up with the word Unity. But what is Unity? I mean, Unity is Nigeria. For you, is part of our branding as a country. And if you look behind it, you can see the flag, green, white, green, that represents the country. So we're trying to showcase the origin proudly. That is a product that is made in Nigeria. That's why I have the national colors here, green, white, green, and everything. That is a technology that has been developed, having our peculiarities in mind, and it's a technology that we should export and be very, very proud of. In line with the digital economy policies, in line with the knowledge economy, moving from resources to knowledge base. So it's actually trying to,
this era that
maybe we can feel it as well.
Okay, that's
Yes,
interesting.
I've been touching it all this while.
Cool. Do you want to zoom in on it? Okay, this is what the Unity board looks like.
Okay,
That's right.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I was saying that I wanted to just shift a little bit from the Unity Board.
Okay.
We've heard a lot about the new normal, considering COVID-19 and all of that. And things are gradually beginning to shift from total and complete isolation to engagement. In certain places, offices are open. I would like to hear your thoughts on how we should handle the transition so that we can quickly go back to our original normal. Or is there a possibility of us going back to that normal? And what should we do?
Well, thank you. But in answering this question, I think is very, very relative. When you say want to go back to original normal, what it used to be. First question is it a productive system it was or not? So we need to look at what we have to pick out to go back to. What to have to pick to move forward. What matters most is that we must avoid what they call the copy and paste syndrome. What works for the Western world may not work. You have to be very, very careful. You can use them as a reference, but everything must be adapted to suit our terrain here. We have to understand that. We have our unique, we have our peculiarities and uniqueness and what have you. Now, for me, I see some very good things coming up from this COVID-19 pandemic. There's a saying that if life throws a lemon at you, you make a lemonade out of it. One of the things that is going for Nigeria right now is acceleration of adoption of digital technology. Okay, that has helped very, very well. Most people in the past wouldn't even understand what is online conference, what is online seminar, but now it has become the new normal. So this is an advantage that you have to maintain. However, we must introduce what they call digital inclusion. As I keep saying, we can't be Lagos, Abuja, and think we are driving digital technology without considering the grassroots. And one of the challenges of the grassroots is what they call the 3 A's: affordability, availability, and access. I think there's also a fourth A, but I can't. It just went off my mind now. Now, for us to drive all this, okay, I mean, we keep talking about various technology that sounds so well, the buzzwords, IoT, has spoken about today, AI, cloud computing, name it. The first question I ask always, where is the energy infrastructure to drive all these beautiful sounding technologies? That's number one question I ask ourselves, okay?
It's interesting.
A typical Western man hasn't got this, but it doesn't even come to their mind that energy could be an issue because they were born into a system that it's not an issue. But sometimes we tend to forget, where is the energy infrastructure? Where is the power to drive all this technology? That's the first thing that will come to mind. I mean, the answers to this anyway. Then the second thing now is, availability or access. Okay, I'm happy that we have over 42% penetration of internet in Nigeria today, and still rising. And kudos to the Honorable Minister, Dr. Saleh Ibrahim. He was able to actually achieve a lot within a year for this right-of-way issue that has been lingering in most states. Most states even waived it off and so on, because that's the only way we can actually drive all the digital inclusion. Again, it's the cost of data. Cost. We are streaming live here. We are connected to the internet. This is costing money. The first question is that in my village, your village, how many of them can afford it? At what cost? Is there any way we can engage the telcos to expand the scope of their CSR, corporate social responsibilities, to create a system or a data pool where schools especially can plug in? And utilize all this data, to solve the web, to carry out online conference, even to share teaching methodologies and teaching materials as well. So these are some of the things we need to look inwards. Very, very important. How do we make sure that this data is affordable? Can we come up with some special programs, to help alleviate the cost of this data, especially for the, people living below the poverty, the poverty level? These are some of the things we really need to consider. And for me, for the COVID-19, it depends on how, we could handle or manage what they call the spin-off benefits. Okay, we could maintain the momentum by not stopping, by actually trying to maintain what we have already achieved and expanding it, the scope to get across to other people. A typical example is online learning already. We could find a way where we can promote more of teleeducation, where the issue of teachers qualified, will be a thing of the past, where I can have a teacher here in Abuja teaching up to maybe 50 primary schools in my village, remotely, using the same method of remote learning and what have you. So there's a lot of chance we stand to, if we can sustain the momentum. That's the most important thing.
Okay, before I take you on further on that line, I want to ask affordability. It's good that you mentioned it.
Yes.
How affordable is this Unity board?
Well, that's it is a question that comes always. Okay, I'll put it this way. If you look at some typical boards like Arduino Mega could cost up to 50, 60 euro, or Raspberry Pi 3 now is costing up to $50 or what have you. Okay, now when you manufacture boards, there's what they call MOQ, minimum order quantity. Okay, the more the order, the prices will drop. Okay, that's where the TWG comes in. When we're able now to put together, the total number of boards that are required, I think we can come up with the final figure there. Although anything I say now will be speculating.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. We look forward to the time when we can all have the Unity board. But there's a question here that just came in. It says in the USA they have what they call tech shops. They are places where anybody could go to try any technology, develop whatever new technologies or systems. They have all the required materials needed to produce anything. Mm-hmm. Does NIDA have any plans to use the Unity boards to achieve something similar in many places in Nigeria?
Thank you. This is a very, very wonderful question. As I mentioned already, NIDA is a regulator, developmental regulator. So we engage stakeholders. We have a lot of hubs across Nigeria. I think NIDA is the only agency that has deployed IoT hubs. In the real sense of IoT, that's the forces: computation, control, connectivity, and cloud. We have in Katsina, we have in Ibadan, we have in Imo, we have in Abuja here, quite across Nigeria. Okay, then there's also a support hub. As a matter of fact, we have a special subsidiary called Office of ICT Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Okay, well, one of their primary engagement is with the hubs. Okay, yes, this board can be utilized in the hub. A typical example I mentioned about an R&D activity being championed by NIDA for the smart agriculture project is actually being handled by a hub here in Kuje TD4Pi hub, where you see this board being applied. Okay, so the answer is yes. Besides that, we have some collaboration with some universities where we create some of these centers of excellence like the hub, where some of this technology now can be demonstrated. Yeah, it may not be to the level of the US, but we're actually sustaining the momentum and we're expanding our scope as well.
I think that's something that we really need to look into. I mean, for someone to easily walk into a place that is set up to try out this technology, and you said that it's an open development platform.
Yes,
so I can put whatever I want on it. So it'd be good to have that kind of opportunity to come in and try it out. So it's something that
I will quickly add. We also organize what we call hackathons across Nigeria in various sectors, health, agri, and what have. So that also creates an environment where people apply this technology, where people can see some of this technology also working. And also, we plan to carry out this board also as an intervention for maybe things like tertiary institutions where they could utilize it, maybe in their labs, they'll be trained on it. And the document you just posted online now has the full specification of the board, it has the matrix, and so on and so forth. So people can have a look and get an idea of what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Agu.
Thank you very much.
Before we go, I just want your thoughts.
Okay.
Your final thoughts on what the future of technology is for Africa with regards, things like this that you've developed. What is the future? What do we hope for?
Well, thank you very much. To me, the future is bright for Africa, but it's conditioned. There's a caveat. It depends on how you plan, the evolutionary pattern or track for that technology. Simply put, Nigeria has a population of 200 million. We have an annual growth rate of our population a little bit below 3%, with a median age of 18. That's a vibrant young workforce. Okay? So this workforce, either we lead them as a liability or we put them as an asset. How do you change them to asset? Embedding knowledge in them. That's it. How do you embed knowledge in them? By creating an ecosystem and platforms for intensive learning, where digital inclusion comes in, using educational technology like Unity Board and so on and so forth. So I see the future really bright, but what we have to do as a country is we need to revisit, rethink, and reimagine our curriculum. Educational curriculum is key Well, it's not part of NIDA's mandate, so I'm a bit careful. But then we, as technology regulators, it's our job to track technology, track the trends, and advise that, gentlemen, this is what is happening there. This is what you need to get there. You're talking about AI. This is what you need to get there. So first of all, we need to rejig the educational curriculum starting from nursery school, primary school. They will need to create what they call the CATI programs, which is in line with the ICT4D policy. Catch them young programs, or what I call the early spark. Young people from an early age, you must engage them. Secondly, industrial experts must be engaged. You see, there's a difference between a conventional lecture room, where handouts are sold to you. And sorry, I have to say this with all respect to the academia, the linkage between the town and gown in Nigeria is weakened, or what they call the academia industry. So it's also a big challenge. So because of that, you see, sometimes you get knowledge that may be obsolete in institutions. So that is when industrial experts are needed as mentor. So you must create what they call technical mentorship programs for rapid technology transfer. And this can be done in collaboration with institutions like yours, in collaboration with hubs. I get in everything. It will be like a program that runs where we'll be training, retraining, training the trainers as well. That will equip our youth for the fourth industrial revolution. Then we can become players, because we're talking about knowledge economy now. So we need to clean our population, embed them polish them like diamonds, from being raw diamonds now to polished diamonds. So I see a great future for Africa. Secondly, we need to think out of the box. We don't have energy problem in Africa. I keep telling people we have one of the highest in solution in the whole world. Those of us that live at equator 0 degrees, we are blessed. We have over 300 days of sunlight. So why are we not utilizing renewable energy intensively? Why can't we make it as part of any strategic project? Just we put a roof over a building, let it be part of every project. Let it be part of hospitals. Let it be part of schools. Let it be part of our offices. But you need energy to drive all processes. You need energy to drive educational processes, your research processes, name it. So these are things we need to come up with, policies that we, compel us, to adopt and implement, carry out higher adoption of renewable energy system. The government can come in with some subsidy as well. Do we have to pay duties on solar panels, solar inverters, solar batteries? They could come lower the duty. So the cost of ownership now, could be reduced. Because right now, the initial capital investment is high for solar energy, but then they last up to 25 years. The two solar panels, your batteries average will last up to 3 to 4 years. If you're able to lower that cost of ownership by reducing the excise duties, or by creating subsidies, that will help, drive the adoption, even up to the grassroots. That will help a lot in all the processes we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agu. That has been Dr. Agu sharing with us the all-inclusive platform that has been designed by the NIDA called the Unity Board. On that note, we bring this session to an end. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Digital Africa, and thank you for this wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you.